our thoughts on the 3 hour community day window. So, our last segment, we just talked about the Stuffle Community Day this April and how they were changing a few things and they're going from the 6 hours to the 3 hours. Let's see what the analysis says, and before we make our final decision on if we really like this change or not. Niantic are back at it again with more revisions to the pandemic bonuses and changes, and this time it is the community day hours that are taking a hit. With the Stuffle Community Day announcement, also came the news that Community Day would be reverting back to 3 hours from the six we have had since April 2020. We are super hyped to see not only a brand new shiny featured for Community Day, but also a brand new Pokemon. But we have some feelings on the hours change. 6 hours is absolutely a long time, and we aren't here to encourage you to play the whole 6 hours. Most of us here at the hub didn't play the whole 6 hours. Some people are grinders and will play the whole time, me. But we know that most people didn't want or need the whole 6 hours, so why do we care about the change? Niantic's announcement. We also wanted to take a moment to discuss some changes to Community Day's format we'll be testing. In 2020, we doubled the length of our Community Day events, extending them from 3 hours to 6 hours. Since then, however, we have found that only 5% of our trainers tend to participate in the events for more than 3 hours. One of the biggest pieces of positive feedback that we received after January's 3 hour Community Day Classic was that players and Community Day leaders noticed how much more of the Community Day was out and about during the event. So, for the Stuffle Community Day, we're returning to the 3 hour format. Our hope is that doing so will create even more opportunities for trainers to play together and connect outside as they're exploring. Our thoughts. Niantic has stated that only 5% of trainers participate in the event for more than 3 hours. However, we are curious to know which 3 hours are people participating in. We would suspect that while 5% play the full time period, that the times people play are very split over the whole 6 hours. For example, I know people who work on a Saturday morning so that they play the afternoon part. I personally prefer to play the morning hours because then I have the afternoon free to spend with my husband or me, my fiance, when he finishes work or she finishes work. I've often played the whole 6 hours when it's a meta relevant Pokemon or one I really love, and I know a lot of the community does too. How does the percentage of players look over the whole 6 hours? Many will dip in and out during the 6 hour period, and the majority don't play the whole time, but the longer time period gave us more versatility. Even before the pandemic affected Pokemon Go, it was often queried why it was called Community Day when it was a 3 hour event. Working during those 3 hours, no shinies for you. Sleeping after a night shift during those hours, no shinies for you. Expanding to the 6 hours made Community Day a much more accessible event, giving not only more time to people to actually play any part of the event, but also more to get chance to more time to get chance to make their evolutions. Many people try to grab a quick hour of Community Day on their lunch breaks, but when their children are having a nap or while they're out and about with other activities, wider hours mean it becomes a player's choice when they can participate rather than being forced to plan their day around the narrow hours. For the season of Alola, Niantic gives us the community dates in advance, but this isn't something they always do. People may try to swap shifts or take holiday paid time off so they can play Community Day, but most people get limited holidays, so they won't want to use them on Community Day. And trying to get someone to swap shifts with you on a weekend, nightmare. There are a huge amount of trainers who work on weekends who are often locked out of Community Days, especially when they fall on Saturdays. In terms of wanting community to be back together, it isn't always as simple as switching the hours back to force us back into old routines. The pandemic has changed the world forever, and the old normal isn't the new normal. Life has changed, and not everything will go back to what it was. People have drifted apart. People have long COVID, and COVID is also still very much a thing with massive waves of infection across many countries that have dropped all mask mandates, etc. The community has been permanently changed because of the pandemic. Niantic are blaming the 6 hour time slot for a lack of community, but the reality is the pandemic forced community to stop being together. I agree with this. We didn't stop meeting up because we wanted to play the full 6 hours from home and be lazy. We weren't legally able to be together or it wasn't safe to be together, and it's going to take some time to get back in the swing of things. My local community played together for Johto Tour, and it was amazing and showed us all how much we had missed it. But it doesn't mean we can all viably do this every community day. And we want to be together. We just have to make sure it's safe and appropriate for us to be together. Personally, I prefer the early hours if it has to be 3 hours. I mean, I'm not waiting around for community day to start and that I can still do other things the rest of the day. Our community would often meet up for breakfast and then play community day afterwards. I live semi-rurally, so for me to play with a community, I have to travel to the next town or even the town further than that. Both of them become more problematic when the hours are the afternoon hours. The best spot on the seafront would be impossible to travel to at the time and park my car, especially in spring and summer, because it's the seaside. So there are tourists galore. The other location to play is in the town center, and with the later hours comes issues with the pubs. This might be quite a specific problem to have, but by 5 p.m. people are drinking, and we will get abuse walking the lap around the town center. As a woman, it feels especially unsafe, particularly if it is getting darker by that time. It's an interesting perspective. So the 3 hour time slots will 3 hour time slot brings with them a variety of problems because of the weather. In the summer, 11 to 2 p.m. means playing in dangerous sun and heat hours for many countries. And in the winter, 2 to 5 p.m. means playing in the dark and cold for many countries. The community day runs 11 to 5 p.m. Then players can pick which hours are safe and suitable for them to play. People don't necessarily want 6 hour community hours so they can play the full 6 hours, but because it gives them more options. All right, from a personal standpoint, as someone who has serious problems with chronic pain, well, this isn't really about me. Blah 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 blah. So in conclusion, 6 hours gave us more flexibility. 3 hours means you are much more likely to miss out on the community day because we all have lives. The new group play bonuses are a brilliant way to reward those who are able to go out and play with their community. If enough Pokemon are caught near a single Pokestop with an active lure, the 3 times catch XP bonus will become a 4 times catch XP bonus near that Pokestop for 30 minutes. This bonus will not stack with the base 3 times catch XP bonus and will instead replace it for the duration. So we'd love to see Niantic do more of this. The rewards those who go out and play together on foot. I'd rather than undo the changes they made that help people play stationary more. Pokemon Go is a game that relies on FOMO, fear of missing out, to encourage you to play more, and missing a community can often mean you might not ever get that shiny unless your community is happy to spend their Stardust to trade you them, especially with Stuffle. As it means if you want that special move Beware, you need someone to make a 400 candy evolution for you. Ouch. Put simply, you cannot play every community day during limited hours because we have real lives and work and families and health conditions, and longer hours meant more options. Did you play the whole 6 hours? Or what are your feelings on the changes? Let us know in the comments. That was a bigger article than I thought, but I thought it was a pretty good perspective. Came from a woman who deals with chronic pain, who plays frequently but also works on the weekend. To hear their feedback on the new community day hours. So I'd like to hear your thoughts. Put in the comments.